And I'm here to tell you, I know from personal experience that the spirit of Jezebel does exist. I've seen it operate, personally come up against this spirit. I have seen the Jezebel spirit cast out of people many times. And the spirit of Ahab, which is this passive, weak spirit that we see in certain people who are in Joni's circle, they operate in. Jezebel needs an Ahab in order to operate. Why? Because Ahab is the enabler. You puppets. Welcome everyone from South Lake Tahoe, California. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, welcome, and you picked the right video to click on. That is a fact. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. A couple of announcements. This Wednesday, April 9th at 1 p.m., I am going to be at the Whole Foods at 3600 Lake Tahoe Boulevard here in South Lake Tahoe. Again, it's 1 p.m., April 9th, 3600 Lake Tahoe Boulevard, South Lake Tahoe. You say, John, why are you going to be there? Do you have a book signing? Do you have a meet and greet? Actually, I've got neither of those things. It turns out my wife needs me to pick up some organic eggs and some organic milk. So I'm going to be there around 1 o'clock. Next, Saturday, April 12th. Would you look at these troublemakers? These troublemakers that couldn't leave well enough alone. Got Pastor Rock Leach looking like come at me, Deacon ball cap. Got Pastor Ray, who's always ready to throw down. Vanessa Johnson, whose husband Ray told me that she actually gets out of bed every morning looking for someone's day to goof up. She gets out of bed, has her coffee, opens the door, goes outside, and just starts yelling at neighbors. Hey, today's not trash day, it's Thursday. Get your trash receptacle off the curb or I'll sue you. This is a group of people who are absolute troublemakers. Then you've got Jeanette Hawkins, who looks all nice and sweet, but a lot of people don't know she was actually the 2018 UFC Women's Champion in MMA. So they ended up moving her to the men's division, where I once saw her roundhouse kick a guy to the kidney so hard that his twin brother 2 time zones away in Billings, Montana felt it. And then you've got me and Everett, who, because of our advanced age, could risk breaking a hip at any moment. But we can make a joke about you and severely hurt your feelings. So that is the group that is going to Dallas, Texas, technically Grapevine, Texas. We will be at the Austin Ranch beginning at 10 a.m. Not sure how long the event is going to last, but tickets by now, I'm sure, are sold out. But we will be live streaming the event. I think Lynn is going to be doing that on her channel. And it is my understanding that those of us podcasters will be able to piggyback off of her live stream and live stream it on all of our channels. And now it's time for my viewer comment. This particular comment came on my last video. At the time I'm recording this right now, it's still up, but I'm actually going to take it down. I don't want anyone to get trolled. Okay, well, part of me does, but yeah, no, we don't want anyone to get their feelings hurt. So I'm going to take this down. But the woman, she said, so far into it and all you've talked about is like and subscribe. Karen, relax. Then fast forward to the next part of the video. But, you know, on my videos, that is not all that I talk about. Like and subscribe. Now, there are other podcasters who all say like and subscribe. So is it bad for me to say like and subscribe? Like and subscribe is something that most podcasters say. What do they say? Always like and subscribe. So relax, Karen. It's just a video. And don't forget to like and subscribe. So in my last video, I talked about the 10 traits of a narcissist and 10 traits of a psychopath. And I asked you, the viewer, to weigh in on whether or not you thought Joni and or Rachel have any of those traits. I did not weigh in. Today, I am going to weigh in, and I'm going to be discussing the spirit of Jezebel. First of all, who was Jezebel? Jezebel was the queen to King Ahab in the book of First Kings, and the story goes all the way through Second Kings chapter 9, where Jezebel dies, and dies a pretty gruesome death. Um, the story begins with a neighbor to the king and queen, Ahab and Jezebel. The neighbor, his name was Naboth, and he had a vineyard that was um, sounded kind of like next door to the king's palace. And the king was looking outside one day and he said, "That's a great vineyard. I wish I had that." So he goes to Naboth and he said, "Hey man, I'd like to take your vineyard. I will hook you up with a much better property and a bigger property, and you can have as big of a vineyard as you want to have." And Naboth said, "This property here was actually handed down in my family, and I'd like to keep that if you don't mind." So the king goes back to the palace, and uh, uh, Jezebel saw that King Ahab was troubled. And so she said, "Just tell him you want it." And he said, "No, I'm not going to do that." She says, "I'll get you that vineyard." So she ends up getting some lynchmen, the Daystar Mafia. They said that they made some false accusations against Naboth. Long story short, Naboth was put to death, and King Ahab and Queen Jezebel finally got the vineyard that they wanted. That is Queen Jezebel. Now, this is a spirit that still lingers today. We call it the spirit of Jezebel. The Bible actually does not say that there is a spirit of Jezebel. But you know what? The Bible, there's a lot of things that the Bible doesn't say. The Bible doesn't talk about pineapples and porcupines, but those exist as well. And I'm here to tell you, I know from personal experience that the spirit of Jezebel does exist. I've seen it operate, not in my life, but it has affected my life. I want you to know that the spirit of Jezebel can operate in both men and women. It's not specifically for the woman. However, more times than not, it does operate in women, and the spirit of Ahab, which is this passive, weak spirit that we see in certain people who are in Joni's circle, they operate in. I personally believe that it's the most common evil spirit that plagues people. I have personally come up against this spirit. I have seen the Jezebel spirit cast out of people many times. And by the way, it's always been women. But again, the spirit can operate in men as well. The spirit of Jezebel needs an Ahab in order to operate. Why? Because Ahab is the enabler, you puppets. Jezebel thrives where there is weak, passive leadership. And I also want to mention that a person can't be a Jezebel. I would never call someone a Jezebel because it is a spirit. We are people. Yes, we have spirits as well. But the spirit of Jezebel is a separate, distinct spirit. It is an evil spirit. To be more specific, it is a demon. Okay? So a person can't be a Jezebel. A person can be influenced or overtaken or possessed by the spirit of Jezebel. But doesn't the Bible say that our war is not against flesh and blood? Amen. Against spirits, principalities, etc. Also, um, the question of, is there only one Jezebel spirit? Well, the Jezebel spirit is not omnipresent. Only God is omnipresent. Only God is everywhere at all times. A spirit cannot be that. So it's like a general in the army. For someone to introduce him as the general of the army, no, he's not the general. The general would assume that there is only one. He is a general. He is one of many generals in the army. By the same token, the spirit of Jezebel, there are many demonic spirits of Jezebel. Okay, so the Jezebel spirit cannot be over here plaguing this person at the same time plaguing this person. They are different spirits. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. And if any of you would like to be a blessing to this ministry, you can do so through PayPal at Pastor John in Tahoe. Or if you'd like to write me, you can do so at P.O. Box 13275, South Lake Tahoe, California 96151. Now the question, how does someone get a Jezebel spirit? It is my belief that it is most often by sexual contact, especially unwanted sexual contact. And I think you know what I mean. There are certain words that I cannot say on YouTube, okay? That's why we abbreviate SA. But this, it's my opinion because um, I know the experience of people who have been plagued by the spirit of Jezebel and their past. And I tell you guys, more often than not, it is because they have had unwanted sexual contact. Now, the spirit can come in by normal sexual contact, ungodly sexual contact, because when you have sex outside of marriage, and let's say this person that that one person has sex with, they have, let's say, 5 demons. Well, my friend, now you have 5 demons. Okay. And by the way, while this video is about the similarities between Joni and the spirit of Jezebel, I haven't ruled out that Rachel also shows many of the traits of someone who has the spirit of Jezebel and could have been SA'd. And I'll just say one word here: trammel. So here we go. 10 traits of the spirit of Jezebel. Number 1, seeks weak people to control. Weak people to control. Um, I would say the 4 puppets that I outlined 2 videos ago, people, these, I hesitate to call them men. I guess they're men by gender. I guess it probably says men or males on their birth certificate, but they're not men. They're not men. They're puppets. They're very weak men with the spirit of Ahab. Number 2 trait of someone who has the spirit of Jezebel. They have a sense of self-importance, a sense of self-importance. To hear Jeanette Hawkins talk about Joni and her mom going to the mall, to the makeup area where Jeanette Hawkins was working, and just saying, horrible things. Wow, she used to be the director of marketing, and now this is all she does here. What a pathetic, evil, evil, mean girl thing to do. Joni had nothing else better to do with her time than to try to make someone feel real small. Well, the tables are about to be turned on you, Joni. But anyway, so that is the number 2 trait of someone who has the spirit of Jezebel. They have a sense of self-importance. Number 3, they require admiration and attention. Admiration and attention. Why else would you need multiple lavish homes and a jet and all of these things that Joni has purchased? Why would you need to go to DC? And President Trump's, I don't know if it was the ball or what it was, but all I know was Joni and Doug were there. Here's a photo of them with everyone's best friend, Paula White. Um, so requires admiration and attention. Why, Joni? Why do you need to be the president of Daystar? Because you require admiration and attention. The number 4 trait of the spirit of Jezebel is void of empathy. You know, one example I can give is the essay of her granddaughter. And listen, guys, we're all here. You, me, the other podcasters, we're all here for the primary reason of the essay of the granddaughter. But I got to tell you guys, it has been in my spirit. There's been a lot of terrible things going on at Daystar, but can we agree that that is at the top of the list? However, I think I am going to be talking about that issue, the essay of the granddaughter, less and less and less. It's just been in my spirit that I believe that Jonathan and Suzy are watching many of the podcasts of the podcasters, and it's just got to make them sick to their stomach every time that they hear that. So for sensitivity to Jonathan and Suzy, who may or may not be at the event in Dallas on Saturday, I'm going to be backing off a lot on that. In fact, my wife and I were watching one of Pastor Ray's last videos. In fact, it may have been his last video. And he alluded to the fact that he's also going to be backing off. So I think Ray and I are of one spirit. Let me move on here. Number 5, defensive and combative when confronted. Defensive and combated when confronted. I think one example of that is Jonathan and Suzy not reading the letter. Oh, yes, you are. You are going to read that letter, or I'm going to give you the boot. You're going to get fired, is what's going to happen. They're defensive and combative when confronted. Number 6, they demand compliance. We've all heard the video. Submit, submit, submit. They demand compliance. Number 7, trait of spirit of Jezebel. They target the headship. They target the headship. Well, you say, well, Joni's the headship. I believe that Jonathan is the headship. He's the rightful headship. He is not employed by Daystar at this moment, but I believe Joni targeted Jonathan, the rightful heir, and should be the headship of Daystar. Number 8, they desire to appear godly, but they aren't. Number 9, they pit people against each other privately. I think we all remember when Arnold Torres and Steve Wilhite had cornered Jonathan to be at a last minute meeting, and they wanted him to sign the NDA and whatever else they wanted in the meeting. But where was Joni in that meeting? Okay, what does she do? She pitted people against each other privately. And number 10, they behave as if they're never wrong. When has Joni ever said that she's wrong? People who have the spirit of Jezebel do not do that. Do I think that they think they're wrong? I don't know. But I think they have fooled everyone to think that they are never wrong. And I want to give you a bonus one. I told you 10. I'm going to give you a bonus one. Number 11, they are not accountable to anyone. Someone please put in the comments, who is Joni accountable to? And don't say Doug. She's not accountable to Doug. Okay? They're not accountable to anyone. Joni's not accountable to anyone. I think that's one of the reasons she didn't want to give up the presidency of Daystar. She doesn't want to be accountable to anyone. And she loves this power. How Queen Jezebelic, right? So that's it for this video, everyone. I wanted to get into my take on this subject. Now, the event on Saturday in Dallas, again, will be live streamed, and each of us podcasters, we're going to be allowed to piggyback on the stream and stream it on our channels, which I will be doing, God willing. So please remember, hit that like button and the subscribe button, and I will see you in Dallas Saturday, April 12th. And now it's time for my viewer comment. In my last video, a woman had put in a comment. And now it's time for the viewer comment. In my last video, I had a woman who commented. She said, so far into it, and all you've talked about is like and subscribe. Well, pumpkin. And now it's time for my viewer comment. This particular comment, at the time I'm recording this, it's still up, but before I release this video, I'm going to delete it. I don't want anyone to troll anyone. Well, part of me actually does, but I don't want anyone to be hurt. But this woman said on my last video, she commented, she said, so far into it and all you've talked about is like and subscribe. Well, Karen, that's not exactly true. I'm sorry that you see life like that. Okay, so now it's time for my all right, and now it's time for my viewer comments. At the time